The NDIS will fund supports that are reasonable and necessary to help you reach your goals and aspirations. It will take part in activities to increase your participation in the community. Reasonable and necessary, you'll hear that word a lot, or you have heard that word a lot. Supports take into account any informal support you receive from family, friends, informal supports such as health and education.
The NDIA is really committed to culturally sensitive practice. We're really keen to have conversations with everyone about what support might look like for you, what community means to you, what family means to you, and what living your best life means for you.
If you think of the National Disability Insurance Scheme as being a lifelong support for somebody, there are a lot of children that we work with in early intervention who are under 7 who are not necessarily going to need lifelong supports. They're going to need some work done with the family and with the child when they're very young to try and build their skills, engage them in their community mainstream services, and then they'll be on their way.
Jot a couple of things down about how they belong, how they're respected, and how other people also show them respect as well. How they share ordinary places, how they contribute, and also how they make choice.
So there's a lot of different information that goes into that. So once the agency then receives that, they get all that information, they have a look at that, they have a look at the evidence in that, and then they start to build the plan. And that's where funding is actually allocated. As far as the local area coordinator, what we would then do is once that plan has been approved, we would then be in contact with the participant and we do what's called an implementation. So the implementation is really going through what your plan is, what you've been allocated, how you could actually spend that money, what services are around that you'd like to connect with. Having a look at, if you're not happy with the decision, what's the process for that? What can you do? So it's really at that stage about linking, it's about providing, services.
So agency, you have to have a registered provider or providers providing the support. Plan manager, your plan manager has to be registered, but the support or services you receive, they don't have to be registered with the NDIA. And with the self-manager, okay, you don't have to use registered services as well.
When we first found out that Kaylin had disabilities, it was really, really hard to find the services that we needed or direction on where to go. So we had to do all of that ourselves and find what we needed. So, and then when we finally got onto Nowra's, which was the Helping Children with Autism package, Kaylin was actually 6 at the time, and then by the time it actually got established, I hurried it up, and it lasted probably about another 6 months before she got cut off that. And then from there, she was just on the community waiting list, and then we were providing as much financial help as we can to get her speech and OT and whatnot, until we came across services our way. And with that, I actually requested that I could self-manage, and so with that, what I did is I opened up a separate bank account specifically for Kaylin with her funding, and all of the funding went straight into that bank account, and every time that she used a service that was required for her disability, we just transferred the money through to pay for that. That way, by the end of the financial year, when they needed to do all their auditing, they just needed a statement from me because it was all in paper, and then there was the statement, and then the service that we used, they just printed out all the receipts, so they all, collaborated. Go with what you're comfortable with. Because in the end, you're spending funding that is provided for your child through the government, and they need to know that there needs to be accountability.
That's right.
So be transparent and get the information that you need, and go with whatever you're comfortable with.
I've learned a fair deal to start with, still only new to the position, but what I am finding most is that most of the people that are eligible for the NDIS aren't realising that they are. I'm an example. I have had bad hearing loss for the best part of my life. I had a lot of trouble understanding classroom scenarios, what's being said, and now find that I'm eligible myself for hearing packages to help with conferences, meetings. I had first found out that I was eligible through going to a lot of team meetings, interagency career meetings, disability meetings, and that was when I found out that I was able to get a hand with some technology that would help with my hearing problems and help me function better on a day-to-day basis. I have now got my house set up with new lights that flash with the door buzzer and flash with the phone. I've got devices that connect my phone up to my TV, up to my radio. I've got a pencil device that's used for speaker situations where the talker puts the pen in their pocket and it transmits directly. Everything is functioning much easier. I find myself questioning what people have said a lot less and a lot happier with day-to-day functions. I'm not a person with a big bank account, and to go through and afford it all was going to be a mission impossible. I'm glad for this help. It's made a big difference.
I have 2 children with disabilities. My son was diagnosed at 5. To that point, we had tried to find help and assistance, and we'd had a lot of difficulty doing that. Our journey to this point has been, it's been a struggle to find services to help the kids. So not knowing what's available out there was the biggest barrier that we found, and then trying to access. So waiting lists and coming up against those kinds of issues. We also struggled just with keeping current and update, so you never know the next thing that's available, and that was really hard. And it was also hard not having a variety of services to choose from and, you know, having choice regarding that. Both my children have been accepted onto the scheme, and we've had our meeting and their plans have been approved. It's actually opened up new avenues for us, so in one sense it's made it a lot easier to access services. We have been able to choose what it is that we want to do, choose who we want to see, and choose how we actually get to manage that. Having that kind of say in things has been, you know, an enormous help, and it's taken a lot of pressure off, so we're not being dictated to like we were before. So we're actually going, okay, well, this doesn't work, what can we now do? So having that choice and control, as the NDIS talks about, has been a lifesaver. It's been great. And they know that if it doesn't work or they don't like it, they only have to speak up and we can look for something else, and that is really, really great. It's about creating the independence for them so they can, you know, go off and lead independent lives and be the best people that they can be. The workshops have been such a saving grace. I've gotten so much out of them. I don't think I would have been able to know as much as I do now if it hadn't have been for those workshops.